In honor of Autism Awareness Acceptance Appreciation Month, I would like to share my personal story of my son, Dean. F. Scott Fitzgerald once said, "Show me a hero, and I'll write you a tragedy." Heroes come in all shapes and sizes. My hero is Dean, my 28-year-old son diagnosed with autism. My husband, Steve, and I welcomed Dean into our life in 1995. We were ecstatic. Dean was a beautiful baby, hit all his milestones on time, sitting up, crawling, walking, talking, both Greek and English. Everything was perfect. Then at about 18 months old, we noticed Dean wasn't himself, not making eye contact, stopped using whatever language he had in both Greek and English. We went from doctor to doctor and finally received a diagnosis of autism on his second birthday. Our world came crumbling down. Steve and I did everything we could for Dean, took him from therapy session to therapy session. We drove to different states to see any expert we could find who could help us. Dean was the hardest working child I have ever known. I saw how hard Dean had to work, how hard it was for him just to maintain eye contact, how he struggled to put sounds together to form words, how hard he had to work just to make it through the day. I homeschooled Dean for 2 years, and Steve and I saw a lot of improvement. I knew what he was capable of doing and saw his potential. I was so proud of all his progress and so proud of Dean. Most school days run from Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. Dean's school days ran forever. Dean never had a break. No weekends, no holidays. Autism doesn't take a day off. I struggled with seeing how different he was from most of his classmates, yet Dean always endured. We would always have our annual reviews with the school to go over Dean's progress, both teachers and administrators. They were hell. Every year, time and time again, all the experts would tell us what Dean couldn't do. He wouldn't be able to sit for any exams. He wouldn't be able to make any friends. He would not have a normal life. The list went on and on. I would always tell the school, rather than you telling us what Dean can't do, how about letting Dean show us what he can do? I knew one day Dean would prove them all wrong, and he did. Although Dean did have some struggles, Dean learned how to speak again. He learned how to read. He became a math whiz. Not only was he able to sit for an exam, he passed all the New York State required Regents exams. Dean earned his high school diploma and accepted his diploma with all his classmates on graduation day. He was the only graduate who received a standing ovation. Dean did prove them all wrong. Thank you for listening to my story. I am Tina Halvatzis, Director of Human Resources.
Thanks, Tina. You really speak from the heart, and I'm sure your story resonates with so many people. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick Cadmus. I am the Director of Dining Services at NBC. Thanks for taking the time today for Conversations for Change, your source for education, inspiration, and volunteerism. Today, we are celebrating World Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month by sharing stories and experiences working with individuals within the community as they navigate different career pathways. Current statistics estimate as many as 1 in 36 children and 1 in 45 adults are affected by autism today. Given its presentation array across individuals, we at Flick welcome dialogue on how individuals with autism are currently succeeding in the workforce and what supports have proven beneficial thus far. Today's dynamic panel will speak to the unique challenges people with autism face in the workplace. We as parents, advocates, and employers can minimize certain obstacles as well as create more cohesive and collaborative career pathways for people with autism. If every workplace is like a tapestry and each employee a unique thread, one can't deny the vivid colors people with autism may share with us, or how we benefit as fellow employees, managers, and simply human beings. I appreciate the opportunity to be of service as a moderator today, and to get the conversational ball rolling, I would like to now introduce our panel. Ryan Donahue, Executive Vice President of Flick Operations, Elise Davis, Senior Human Resources Generalist for Flick, and Brooke Sanders, Employment Services Managers at Eden Autism and Vice President of New Jersey APSI. Now I'm going to pass it back to Tina, who has a few questions for our panel.
Thank you, Nick. So panelists, tell us, what does autism acceptance, awareness, and advocacy mean to you? Brian, I'm going to kick it off to you first.
Thanks, Tina. And first of all, thanks for sharing that story about your son, Dean. Really inspiring. To me, it means looking at the strengths and capabilities of those with autism and not the limitations. It means looking at how we can support those with autism to be contributing members of the community and the workforce.
Thanks, Brian. Brooks, how about you?
I think that for me, it's just about showcasing what our population can do. We have such a strong-willed population that are really about going out there and getting after it day in and day out. They're so driven. There's a great sense of worth for them when they're in the community or they're in the workforce. So, my main objective always is to showcase how far they've come and what they're capable of doing. And it's a great honor to represent an organization like Eden in order to do that and increase those numbers of individuals on the autism spectrum in the workforce.
Thank you, Brooks. And Elise, what does autism acceptance and awareness and advocacy mean to you?
Thanks, Tina. For me, it means acceptance, growth, and inclusivity. As a people, we are made up of the melting pot, right, of many communities. And when I say communities, I mean it because I see autism more as a community than I do a disability. The awareness piece for me is growth. With evolving studies and current resources, we have great tools to educate ourselves and to help create more inclusive environments for folks with autism, especially in our line of business.
Thank you, Elise. So Brian, tell us what motivated you to connect with external support organizations with career pathway programs that support people with autism?
Tina, I began working with the autism community when my children were young. I have three sons. They were all athletic, very involved in sports. There's an organization in my community called Buddy Ball. Buddy Ball pairs individuals with developmental or intellectual disabilities with students, athletes from the area, from the community, to encourage them to play the sport with as little or as much guidance as they need. My sons and I really enjoyed participating in that program and still do so today. Later, one of my sons played college football, college in New Jersey. That football team partnered with Best Buddies to do a very similar program, pairing college students with those same intellectual or developmental disabilities with the football team in various organized activities. I recognize the name because one of our best employees happened to be from Best Buddies. Reached out to the organization to talk about how we can get more employees like that one. We've since developed similar relationships with Eden Autism, Easter Seals, and No Limits Cafe. I later joined the Best Buddies board here in New Jersey to be an advocate for the workforce and how we can better partner with that community.
Wow, what a great story. Thanks, Brian. Brooks, can you tell us about the mission and goals of your organization in supporting workers with autism?
Absolutely. First, my mission really comes from the population that I serve. If you're looking at statistics, autism population has the lowest numbers of employment rates out of any disability. So that's for our organization, that's a focal point for me. So my main objective is always to increase those numbers. So if I can't hit it across the nation, I'm trying to focus internally. And partnerships like this with Flick and Merck really help. But it remains the same. It's a person-centered approach. It's customized to the individual. It goes into staff training, training our coaches, having people that are backup coaches, getting our behavior team in play, collecting data when they are in the workforce, setting them up for success. And it starts from day one. And it really starts with the braiding efforts and taking cultures of the employer that you're trying to build that partnership with, and our culture here at Eden Autism, and trying to work it together in order to make the best fit for not just them, but for the individual that they're hiring. This continues to be our best practices. We focus on one individual at a time, one person at a time, like family, as well as the community. And that's kind of like our mission here, you know. So it's been a process since coming to Eden, but it continues to be my mission. And what drives me daily is seeing new opportunities being developed and getting them acclimated into the workforce and increasing those numbers of individuals on the autism spectrum in the workforce.
An amazing organization. Elise, if someone from Eden Autism is going to spend time with us in our workplace, what would the day in the life look like?
I would hope that it looks like the average day of any one of our other hourly associates or manager associates who does not have a disability. What I mean by that is we are a true equal employment company, right? And it was super important to make sure and ensure that we worked with partners, in this case, Eden Autism, to better get an understanding of what that would take. And along with Eden Autism, we were able to work with them to customize the job tasks and responsibilities in order to better meet the needs of the associate, after which they are put to work with the help of a coach, kind of similar to how our associates can lean on a manager or supervisor, but it's a little bit more of a close relationship because some folks do need extra help throughout the day, and that's perfectly fine. Our goal is for the Eden Autism associate to have the feeling of just going to work and being part of a great team, same as the rest of our staff. Yes, the job task may differ a bit, but the whole point and our goal, and I feel that we have achieved it, is so that our environment to the specific associate does feel inclusive.
Thanks for sharing, Elise. This sounds absolutely incredible. There are a lot of myths surrounding individuals with autism. Brian, it is often assumed all individuals with autism have special talents. Can you clarify any misconceptions our audience may have regarding this?
And Nick, I believe all people have talent. But if you think everyone with autism has the memory and the math skills of Rain Man, you're wrong. Every person is unique, whether you have autism or not. What I've found of everyone I have encountered in the autism community is they all want to have a sense of purpose and they all want to contribute. Isn't that what all of us want?
You're right. And I think if you know one person with autism, you know one person with autism. I think they all differ and they all have strength, to offer, just like anyone else does. We recognize that everyone works differently, and some people may require adjustments or resources to work productively in any workplace, helping create a more supportive and inclusive workplace for everyone. Brian, in your opinion, what are 3 valuable but often overlooked assets in hiring talent with autism?
Well, I'll try to narrow it down to 3. I think first off, having autism doesn't mean you don't have skills. One of our associates in the autism community also happens to be the one person at the operation who's best at using the HACCP monitor. Some traits that I do see as consistent are trustworthy, organized, and passionate. One big benefit is, and Elise talked about this earlier, support through job coaches at Eden Autism, No Limits, Best Buddies, and Easter Seals. Those are advocates for you and for the associate. Really great opportunity to take advantage, and you don't have that with every associate. The last thing I would just talk about is how rewarding it is. Through minor adjustments in your approach to a position, you're helping someone contribute to the workforce, and you're gaining a dedicated associate. It's both professionally and personally rewarding.
Thank you, Brian. Brooks, how do you measure the impact and effectiveness of your organization's efforts in supporting workers with autism?
Generally through observation. It starts from day one. We like to do work samplings. I like to get them involved. And during that time, the observation usually occurs where you're seeing what they do with the task, aligning myself with the work that they're doing as well, and seeing where potentially they may make a mistake and correcting it. building a relationship with a partnership, basing my observations on production levels of the population, whatever workforce that they're in, making sure that the transition from, going from not working to the employment field in the workplace, what does that look like? Social engagement, natural supports. And by natural supports, I mean, like, the coach is there, but on a level there should be, a braiding of supports where they have coworkers who engage them and help them along, which we've seen with your organization at Merck and Flick. Another great thing is insight from our community job coaches and making sure that they're doing observation supports that needed in order to correct error and providing the individual with the supports needed to be successful in the future. Also continuously providing oversight and interactions with our employment partnerships, seeing what's working, what isn't working, how can we strengthen that bond between the supports that they're receiving, meaning the job coach and the staff or leadership there, and how those two come together in order to be advocates and liaisons, if you will, between the two organizations. Lastly, kind of collecting data, engaging areas that they're struggling in, and how can we make it better? And if they're really exceeding, how can we add more to their job description? So if they're going above and beyond and they're always really executing everything that's set up for them, expanding on the work that's provided and or getting them into a different area. And lastly, like I said, I talk about it all the time. Like once they're in the workforce, I can tell if it's working by their smile on their face. So many times you walk into a partnership, and if I see one of my guys or gals in there smiling or they're buzzing around, I know that it's a fit. You could see a fit through an observation, and so many times they just wear it. They wear it, and when I see them smiling and they're happy with the work that they're doing, it provides self-worth for me, and I know that it's providing self-worth for them. So that's kind of how I gauge the impact and the effectiveness of what we're doing here. Thank you.
That's really amazing, Brooks. Thanks for educating us. Elise, awareness of autism is growing, but there's still a lot of confusion. One common misconception is that autism is a disease and can be cured with medicine. Can you please speak to this?
Thank you, Nick. And to answer your question, no, it can't. Autism cannot be cured. And this is why I feel that autism advocacy is vital. Yes, there have been a number of enhancements through research, different types of treatment that can either work or pertain to certain symptoms or behaviors, but autism can't be cured. It's more of a reason why we shouldn't give up on continuing to advocate. Make the path for people with autism and being open to change when it comes to incorporating it into our new spaces or new spaces altogether, kind of similar to how we did with our partnership with Eden and Merck, bringing our associates into a new corporate style large kitchen and cafe. Partnerships with Eden are greatly appreciated. Brooks not only stepped up with his team to learn our day-to-day job tasks and job responsibilities, but was then there to give us the best practices so that we could share them with our team, managers, and associates to ensure that we were well prepared to receive his associate as a new part of our team.
And it truly is a partnership. I agree. It takes both sides, and it's a million moving pieces. So Brooks, I admire all the work that you and your organization do. Elise, what would you say to parents who have a really tough time looking at the positives of autism?
I would say that it's okay. I would say that having that difficulty is normal and not to give up. I started working with parents of autistic children as young as high school. It was an extra program that I was able to tap into for not just a moment of extracurricular activity and extra credits, but I had to choose something in a community that I felt made sense to me, and autism does run through my family. So telling a parent to trust the process or plan was so much easier than being the parent on the receiving end. It took me a while to realize that. And I think that when it finally clicked, them having the harder job put me in a space of saying, okay, now in my current role, what could I do or how could I step up to help make sure that an introduction of an adult with a disability into our workplace be a seamless situation and a seamless process? And the truth for me was we couldn't do it alone. There has to be trust there. Trusting Eden Autism to help ease the transition with their program opened my eyes to the hardest line of advice for any parent, and that is not only just to trust, do not be afraid to be an advocate for your child. Please be open to the resources that are available, because trusting these things can now create a new space or help create a better environment in your home space or just a relationship with your child where they can feel comfortable and confident and support when it's time for them to continue learning and growing day to day. Every achievement, big or small, is still a win.
Thanks, Elise. I'm sure that all parents can really benefit from what you just said. It really puts everything into perspective. Brooks, some believe that individuals with autism are unable to find love, work, success, and happiness. Is this true?
I don't think so. I think that all those things are attainable. I think that with anything comes effort, and it's all what you put in. It comes the individual putting in the work, but also the people that are around them. They're supporting cast, the family member, the people that are the centerpiece to their existence, that support team. But I would say, like, you know, obviously there's so much things out there, love on the spectrum and everything that's showing us itself on like how far it is and the misconceptions that we have. But within our population, that's something new that we're navigating. What does that look like? We have people who are within residential. The spectrum is very broad, and we have those people who are starting to be very open about what their future looks like, and significant others. The other thing here at Eden that we're starting to see too is what does retirement look like, and how to navigate that. Opening up recently, a few years back, we opened a retirement center because people do retire, people do stop working. As far as happiness goes, you know, it's the work that they do and making sure that they love it, and that radiates through them. And the biggest thing that for me is when they do go to work or they are getting new employment, you know, that wow factor job. And I always say that to our families, you know, bear with me. I want that wow factor job. You know, brothers and sisters may go to college and experience opportunities that others may not. I want that same experience for them. I want them sitting around the holiday dinner talking about their, you know, how great Johnny or Sue is at Merck or with Flick, and saying like, hey, they've come so far. They started doing vocational skills training, and now they're working 20 hours a week and 5 days a week. And I never thought that they could do it. And it's those cans. I think Tina spoke to that before when she was doing the testimony about her son is the cans. We need the cans in life. We don't need the cannots, you know, or cannots. Showcasing how far they've come, letting others know how amazing they are and what they can do for their workforce. And we're seeing that more and more, that as doors open and they're allowing our population through them, people are blown away how diverse they are and what they can do for the bottom line, and errors that can be found, whether it be data entry, assembly work, production, such a variety. But lastly, you know, the joy that it fills in my heart, and giving thanks to the population that I serve, and Eden Autism, the opportunity to serve this population and increase those numbers in the workforce. And that's where that success lies, you know, being able for me to do the work that's necessary to make them have an impact in the workforce. So it's been such a great honor serving all these guys and gals within our day programs and getting into the workforce. But to cut it short, all those things are obtainable. It's just how you navigate it and the pathways that you take in order to do it, and educating the family members, yourselves, and taking yourself out of it and putting that person in the center of it. So many, you know, to wrap it all up, is that so many of us are constantly inputting ourselves into their life instead of just saying, hey, this is their life. We're only here to assist them, and let's allow them to navigate that accordingly with direction or advice given, but allowing them to go through it the same as you and I do.
I love that, Brooks. And, you know, look at the cans and not the cannots. I think that's amazing.
It's huge.
And this last question, and your passion really shows through. So, you know, as a mom or as someone who has a loved one with autism, I appreciate what you do. This last question is for all the panelists. What do you want our listening audience to know about partnering, supporting, and celebrating folks with autism? And we'll start with you, Brian.
So the labor market continues to be a challenge for everyone. Just back on your last question, I personally have seen success and happiness in the workplace. It takes minimal adjustment. Really, the adjustment is practically nothing. I encourage everybody to consider partnering with one of the organizations we discussed today. Work with them to identify candidates for the roles that you have that are open, candidates that can add value to the business you operate, and may just be the most passionate, loyal, contributing member of your teams. I encourage you to reach out to me or anybody on this panel to discuss further. And really, I will guarantee you'll find it rewarding beyond words. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. And Brooks?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Oh, I'm sorry about that. What
It's
do you
okay.
want our listening audience to know about partnering, supporting, and celebrating folks with autism?
I want them to know that they're a capable population. They're misunderstood and misrepresented if you look statistically across any other disability, or the numbers of employment are extremely low. Unemployment is even greater. But if you actually give them an opportunity, you will see that external distractions aren't always there, and those obstacles that you think that they may go through, it may happen, it may not, but a chance given is an opportunity that will help your company or your organization. I think that there's such a dedicated, our guys and gals are so dedicated and determined to go into the workforce. It's something that they look forward to daily. And I have more success stories than I do failures. And I think with a proper preparations and teaching and this empowerment to them, you know, it'll be fruitful for all parties.
Thank you, Brooks. And Elise, what do you want our listening audience to know about partnering, supporting, and celebrating folks with autism?
Be open to it. Welcome it. Don't look at it as something that is going to be super hard or difficult. Look at it more so as a growth opportunity and a moment to make great stride to, continue helping and further the inclusion and awareness of the autism community. Also, another important thing is remember and hold on to that feeling of wanting to try something new, how it felt when someone turned around and told you no, or that you couldn't do it. Remember that before you turn around so quickly to tell a person with any disability the same no. There's a new commercial out there, Tina. It focuses on a young woman with Down syndrome. And as we're going through the commercial, she's touching on a few scenarios that we see as moments of growth and achievement of things we can do, whether it be grabbing a drink at 21 or moving out, living on your own or with a roommate for the first time. And her whole point of the commercial is, if you think that I'm not able, then I won't be able to. It's not just about our fears, but how our fears can create limitations. And people with disabilities shouldn't be held back because they have disabilities. They should be allowed to step out into the world and have a fair chance at these awesome things, whether it be getting a job, grabbing a drink, or just hanging out with friends at the movies like everybody else. So I challenge you to break the mold and join the team of creating what we're going to now call the new normal.
Just wanted to say thank you to all our panelists for joining us today. Your experiences certainly shifted the lens with which I view autism in the workplace. And to our listeners, thank you for providing us a place to learn and grow together. As a parent, I question how employment and career pathways will develop with our future generations. So much of what we discussed today can be applied outside the picture of autism. I was never one to paint in those lines, and it is always a pleasure to spend time with like-minded individuals. Our conversation today shows that adults with autism are breaking boundaries every day, and that we all benefit from a collaborative, cohesive work environment. I look forward to the day all individuals with autism are painted across the workforce spectrum and consider myself privileged to participate in this dynamic change. I hope everyone enjoyed our podcast. As Brian said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our panel. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Tina, can you close us out with an update on how Dean is doing?
Sure. Thank you, Nick. So about Dean now. Dean loves all music, going to concerts, and a big fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Very excited about their tour this year. Dean loves going to sports events, especially hockey games, always looking forward to overtimes and shootouts. Loves the beach and vacation, just like his mom. We're hoping to get Dean into a vocational program for employment. There are many opportunities out there, but it has to be the right fit, as we've discussed today. I don't know what the future holds for Dean, but I do know that he will still maintain his hard work ethic and be the best Dean he can be. He still has some struggles, and we are uncertain about his future, which scares the hell out of me. Although F. Scott Fitzgerald says he can write a tragedy based on a hero, I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. We thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed our first of many podcasts that we hope to share with you. And Trudy.